I'm Batul Hakim, and here with me is Ahmed Sabra, Wissam Shahuri, and Nathan Petrowski from Group 6 of the Unit 3 Diversity Group. Have you ever entered a party and noticed people standing around a clique? Have you ever wondered why this happens? Many studies have been conducted to determine why people tend to stick to their own kind. These studies have been able to identify some key advantages and disadvantages in communicating with others outside of your circle. The notion of birds of a feather flock together has been around since the beginning of times. According to Daniel King and Scott Lowley in Organization Behavior, in ancient Greece around 400 BC, Hippocrates drew out four main personality types from his medical theory of the four human humors. Each of these personality types stuck to each other because of their similarities. Whether children are meeting on the first day of kindergarten or a group of businessmen and women are entering the workforce, people tend to stick with others like themselves. In an interview with a coworker, this concept was repeated. Griffin, an employed co-op student at DTE Energy, was asked what his first day was like. He responded by stating he was unsure of what the future held at his new job because of his lack of acquaintanceships. According to Griffin, he was able to complete his first year by creating and maintaining a close relationship with other co-op students like himself. Griffin expressed that he was intimidated by veteran employees who had been around for many years and felt more at ease with other fellow co-op student employees. Griffin is among the many people who tend to stick to their own kind. According to a study conducted by Joel Lufkautz, twice as many newly hired African American employees preferred to work with African American supervisors. This resonates that people are more comfortable adjusting to situations when they are around people similar to them. Communication with those similar to you differs from those who are not. Now I'll pass it on to Ahmed, who will be discussing why people may feel obligated to associate with others of their own kind.
Thank you, Batul. According to Understanding Discrimination, probably the most common reasoning for why people may feel obligated to associate with others like themselves when it comes to appearance, culture, background, beliefs, etc., is because of the level of their own personal comfort around these like-minded people. When people are comfortable and they know they're surrounded by other people who share the same beliefs as them, it makes it easier for those people to formulate and express their ideas with the people around them. A sense of belonging and pride to the group who is like-minded is also created when a person is associating and communicating with people who are similar to them. When a person is in a setting comprised of people who are like themselves, it offers a relaxed, laid-back environment for that person to learn in the classroom or perform work tasks in the workplace. Another reason people may choose to fraternize with people like themselves is because of the sense of pride they get when they are around those people. For example, nationalism is the sense of pride or unity that a person has for their country. That same type of pride or unity may be present in the workforce or the classroom when people choose to associate themselves with others who are similar to them. Identifying similar characteristics that you have to people around you is one way of making yourself feel more at ease when it comes to decision-making and completing tasks, which may eliminate any hesitation that can arise when contemplating whether or not to ask for help or guidance when attempting to accomplish a task. After reading a personal article by Examiner.com, the reason for people fraternizing with others more easily becomes more of an unintentional, instinctual thing, rather than a choice made with much thought or predetermined. For example, a person of color tends to naturally associate themselves with other people of color. This is not because people are afraid of or against fraternizing with people who are unlike themselves, but rather it is more of a natural occurrence made subconsciously by most people. At first glance, you may automatically assume somebody that looks like you or has similar tastes and attributes that you do, judging solely by the similarities of your physical appearance. That may seem to be the case at times, and based off of this idea, fraternizing with people who share the same basic traits as you means fraternizing with people who look and most likely act like you do as well. This may be because of people of similar looks may be similar also when it comes to religion or nationality, which resonates to similar morals and beliefs that may lead to someone to be more comfortable and more easily themselves which also may resonate to a better work rate and learning experiences because of similarities, as will be mentioned later in the presentation. During an interview with Mike Jordan, owner of Global Way Investments, he was able to explain how through his experiences, the most obvious reason that people interact with others like themselves is because, quote, people can communicate easily with people who are more like themselves, unquote. To sum it up, people fraternize with others like themselves because it makes them feel more comfortable being around others like them, which in turn leads to better communication and vice versa. After the interview, I started to think about myself and if I was introduced setting an environment, how I would interact. I feel like I would be most comfortable around people I could communicate with the easiest, whether it is to talk about my school or work problems or just everyday small talk. I also think about my mother, for example. In a new setting, she would most likely be comfortable around other people who have Arabic as their native tongue, even if she is not speaking Arabic with them. She would be more comfortable and more at ease, knowing she is talking to someone who may understand exactly where she is coming from. I will now hand it off to Nate, who will determine what good can come from associating with others like yourself.
Thanks, Ahmad. So with all the talk about diversity and global diversification and how great it is for business, I began to wonder, why hasn't business been more diverse all along, considering all the positive benefits that have come about over the past 10 to 15 years? I became curious about what previously were the advantages of associating with people who are like yourself in aspects such as looks, actions, and beliefs. And where my research took me was quite interesting. In my interview with Mr. Panaya, owner of the DoubleTree Hotel, he gave me his take on the scenario. We had quite a candid interview in which we talked and discussed both the positives and negatives of diversification of the workforce in an industry like hotel management, in which I know relatively little about. So it gave me a whole new perspective. And what he said is, like-minded people stick together because it makes them most comfortable, and in return that leads to higher productivity. The quicker the employee becomes more comfortable, the better it is for productivity and in return overall business. He feels that for his company the benefits are quite obvious. In the journal Context of Organizational Behavior, authors Walter and Brush say that similar work group units creates the emergence of positive affective similarity within the work group, which builds a self-reinforcing upward spiral between positive group effect and which similarities emerge. These self-reinforcing upward spirals are positive for the group, and when these work groups are homogeneous in nature, they are positively associated with higher cooperativeness and lower levels of conflict. When thinking about the positives of working on a team, these are certainly two things that come to my mind when I think about aspects of a group that would make the project flow easier and make the cohesiveness of the group come alive more so. John Toohey discusses the attraction paradigm, so suggesting that these choices are made consciously and that we in fact choose to ignore other factors and make our decisions based on likeness and even attraction. And there's been a lot of research about how attraction plays into the choosing of groups, and especially in job interviews where two candidates have the same exact qualifications, and being attractive definitely is a positive for you. So furthermore, through my research, I have found a few advantages, including perceived increase in productivity, higher cohesiveness within the group, and lower levels of conflict. But surely these things must have downsides. So when introducing diversification into the workforce, if you don't manage the changes effectively, many aspects can ultimately suffer, such as communication. When you introduce diversity, there's a lot of communication barriers that get thrown up, and if you don't manage those effectively, you can ultimately completely cut down communication lines, which will have a very negative impact on your company. You also have problems such as holdups in the bureaucracy, because you now have all these differing opinions and differing outlooks. You can get a lot of holdups when moving information through the company. So with that being said, all businesses are continuously working towards a more diverse workforce, and they're doing this for a reason. So next, Wissam is going to talk about the advantages of being socially diverse.
Thank you, Nathan. As I look around the room, I take in the array of faces from different cultures, different races, all from different places. I've never experienced anything as such. At the age of 6, my family and I had relocated to Ramallah, Palestine from U.S. to only return back to the U.S. at the age of 13. My years of interaction in Ramallah were spent interacting with people who spoke like me, looked like me, held the same views as me, and even liked the same food as me. When I stepped into that classroom on my first day of 8th grade, it felt as if everything I'd ever known vanished. Standing there astonished, I wonder if I had ever really known what diversity really was. For the first several months, I attempted associating with the other fellow black hair, brown eyes, growing a mustache way too early students. I judged everyone else's every move who didn't look like me or act like me. I never truly understood anyone else, but this came to a halt after entering my high school when I finally started slowly diversifying my social circle after a dispute between my friends. Several months after diversifying my social circle, I had realized these people that I thought I would never get along with held more similarities with me than anyone from my own circle. 6 years later, and my diverse group of friends and I grow closer each year. The sad reality is, many people do not leave their social comfort to diversify their social circle, not only at school, but also at work. The world is inevitably becoming more globalized now, more than ever in every aspect. This globalization has led to an increasingly diverse workforce. Although these diverse workforces are increasing, this does not always mean that these diverse employees are interacting with each other. Maxwell states in his book, The Law of Magnetism, what many fail to realize in the approach of not exiting out of their comfort zone to get to know other people is when we dodge others who appear different than us, then we don't learn about them. We then make generalizations about them, and these prejudgments are called prejudice. In an interview with Sandra Deanna from Hilton, a human research manager who has been in the company for 20 years, has described interaction diversity in the workforce as crucial. When asked what are the disadvantages of employees who are not socially diverse, Sandra went on to state, when people do not understand each other, tension between employees can rise. We are also able to learn from people who have different experiences and perceptions of things. Not only does it give employees a different view of opinions, it strengthens the communities and the workplace. Besides the personal benefits, there are numerous economic benefits of workplace diversity. As Kirby and Burns highlight, a diverse workforce is integral to a strong economy. A diverse workforce engineers economic growth, with a quarter of GDP is due to the increase of women holding jobs. Diversifying your workplace assists businesses to increase their market share, because with a more diverse workforce, businesses can more effectively market to a wider array of people. Effective problem solving on the job is also implemented through diversity, by bringing together workers with different qualifications, backgrounds, and experiences. Similarly, diversity breeds creativity and innovation. By 2050, there will be no racial or ethnic minority in the United States, and our nation's boardrooms need to represent these changing demographics. Furthermore, between 2000 and 2050, new immigrants and their children will account for 83% of the growth in the working age population. Our economy will grow and benefit from these changing demographics if businesses commit to meeting the needs of diverse communities as workers and consumers. I'll now pass it on to Batul, who will conclude.
Thank you, Sam. People tend to stick to their own kind in the workplace or at school for many reasons. One of the main reasons is due to comfort. When people are able to be more comfortable, higher productivity is the result. This usually occurs when people are surrounded with others of their own kind. Although higher productivity may be achieved, it is more beneficial for people to interact outside of their circle for a more socially diverse workplace. A diverse workforce engineers economic growth and is crucial to creating a competitive economy in a globalized world. Thank you.